Welcome. I'm Michelle, and I am the president of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce of Severna Park and Baltimore, and I'm the owner of Vital Fitness Holistic Center. And this is the Mind Body Business Collective, and I'm here today with Mandy Slight. Mandy, you want to tell them a little bit about you?
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, hi. My name is Mandy Slate. I'm actually a freelance writer in the area. I'm a member of the Holistic Chamber as well. I'm the signature program school liaison for the chapter.
And you are fading in and out a little bit, so I don't know if you're moving back. You didn't until I turned it on. So
Isn't that crazy? See, and that's
we'll,
why,
we'll change it if it keeps fading. We'll just pause it, okay?
okay.
So Mandy and I, we never seem to have a topic that we can't go on and about for about 5 hours.
Sure.
But we were really talking about hiking spots, and Mandy has completely different ones than I do. We're in Maryland, and I've hiked all over, but we wanted to talk about some local spots and then what you can do when you either travel or if you live in another area to find decent hiking spots. So Mandy, you want to start up with a couple of yours?
Yeah.
And the pros and cons of the hiking spots, parking, things like that.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So yeah, hiking is probably one of my favorite activities to do. I love getting outside and just exploring. My dog loves it. My husband loves it. So we all go out. We take our dog whenever we can, and he just really loves going out there. One of our most frequented spots in the state of Maryland is Patapsco Valley State Park. It encompasses hundreds of acres of land. It spans a couple of different counties and lots of different cities. So there's lots of places to be able to explore. We've done a lot of exploring in the Avalon and Orange Grove areas, and we've started to get into the McKeldin and the Daniels area. The Daniels area is really neat because it's an old, they kind of call it a ghost town. It's an old mill town, and there's still some old buildings there. And one of the hurricanes, I think back in the 70s, there were some cars that have just kind of floated down through the terrain. So you might find some abandoned cars sitting there, which is pretty neat. And we've also done, so Patapsco is where we've been mostly around this area because we're in Anne Arundel County and it's pretty localized here. We also have done a lot of exploring out in Western Maryland. For that, we always do a camping trip. We try to take a weekend and we focus around different hiking spots. One of my favorites out there has been Swallow Falls. It's it's like right at the tip of Western Maryland. You go past Deep Creek and it's a lot of fun going out there. There's Muddy Creek Falls, which is one of the tallest waterfalls in the state of Maryland. Right there in the park, you can camp and you walk a little ways down the mountain and you're right there, and there's some really neat trails. There's a couple of river where the two rivers meet, the Patapsco River and I'm forgetting the other one, meet right there. And it's really neat there. You can fish and you can do a lot of different things besides hiking, and it's very beautiful to explore. And right 10 minutes down the road is Garrett State Forest, and there is a natural rock maze made out of these huge rocks and boulders, which is really neat to experience and go walk through. So we went and did that last spring, and that was a ton of fun, and we plan on going back out there. We have a huge list of places we haven't gone. We've been trying to really explore a lot in Maryland, and we've realized, I think once we started doing the research, we realized just how many different hiking spots there are in the state. And then, of course, when Michelle and I were talking about it, we were kind of like, wow, oh, I've been here. Oh, have you been here? And then we were like, you know what, this would be a really great podcast.
And
so what are your favorite places?
Life and never knew about the Garrett County one, so I wanted to get it on recording because I want to know where to go.
Yeah, it was all through research that I found all this stuff. I had no idea either. That's what really opened my eyes to what there is to offer out here in Maryland.
Well, and I want to go back to Patapsco State Park because Patapsco has, I think, unlimited amount of entries,
yes,
unlimited amount of levels of hiking. You can get water with them. You can have no water with them. They're very child friendly. They're dog friendly. If you go into the park,
and horse friendly.
Yes, and if you go into the park and pay, there's a playground area, so you can take your kids, and it's a really great place to get your kids used to hiking and getting them to learn it, because there is the flat ground, so that you can go on a paved, for if you have children in a stroller, to get them used to being outdoors, but then you can take them over on the other side. And they also, you can even look at it and see that there's like an easier way to get somewhere and a harder way to get somewhere, so the family can even split up in a lot of it too. But there are entrances all over the place that I'm still learning about. I had a friend have me meet her somewhere, and I'm like, I didn't even know that entrance was there, and it was really beautiful because there was a little waterfall there. Is it
Soapstone?
Soapstone is a really nice hiking trail through there. And I know that you can even do an entrance, and I think that's where Soapstone runs into at the end of 170. And
Okay.
it's gonna drop, you'll see all the cars parked there, and you just drop right down. But one of the nice things about Patapsco that I wanted to point out was the animal friendly, was the child friendly, all of that. Can you enlighten us on, you talked about Muddy Creek, you talked about the Garrett County. I really haven't been to any of those, and I was writing it down. If you saw me looking down, I didn't lose interest. I'm just kind of writing it down so that you can bring us up to par on, do you take your dogs to all of these as well?
Yes, we specifically, especially when we go camping, my father-in-law has a camper, so he lets us borrow it so that we can go take these camping trips and take our dog with us. So when I'm putting these trips together, I specifically seek out parks that are dog friendly, because my dog loves to go. He's very active, and he wants to be with us, and we love taking him. And having a camper, of course, is great, because then if we want to like go off on our own, we can just leave him in the camper and he's fine. It's not like being in a tent. So that's why we prefer to take the camper with us, so that we can have him with there as well. And so I've been looking. I actually have my list here of some that I have not done, that I wanted to talk about. Let's see. The Thomas Stone National Park, that's in Port Tobacco. There's also the C&O Canal. That's all right out that way. Western Maryland, but not that far. Those are all places that I want to check out. This is one we talked about this on the phone, and I wanted to mention this one because I just found out about it. This one is in Boonesboro, and it's called Annapolis Rocks, but it also is called Black Rock. And it's really nice. I read a little bit about it. I find a lot of these on a website called onlyinyourstate.com.
Yes.
And they have things for different states. And that's where I found a lot of the things that I wasn't aware of. And if you go on places like alltrails.com, you can also find different trails. That's another one where I'll go sometimes if you can't get a map of it, just to try to understand what the terrain is, how long it is, and that kind of stuff. All Trails is a really good resource to be able to look for.
Trail Link, there's another one, Trail Link, that I ran across before we started talking, when I was writing about it, before we had this. Mm-hmm. So where we go a lot, there are a lot of places in Virginia as well, and we're so close to it. But then there's Great Falls that has the Maryland side and the Virginia side. And the Maryland side has, I think, more variety to it than the Virginia side. The Virginia side is more of a flat trail to walk on, but people do rock climbing on that side of it. On the Virginia side, let me make sure I say the right one. On the Maryland side, you have the Billy Goat Trail. The Billy Goat Trail is broken down into.
On my list. Sorry, I was just going to say, have you ever been to the Billy Goat Trail? And you took the words out of my mouth.
I love. That's one of my favorites in the area, is the Billy Goat Trail. A is the harder one. B and C, I have run and done trail running through all three, which is an awesome day trip. It's just beautiful. A is the most difficult one. You are going to encounter scrambling over rocks, things like that. It does have a fire trail, so you can walk in on the fire trail to get your kids used to it. So if you're talking about bringing kids, people bring dogs through there, and I'm not sure if dogs are allowed on that trail, because I've heard mixed stories on that. They are allowed through the B and C trail, no problem. There is a camping ground. There are campsites throughout. You can also walk out on they have a wooden kind of deck-like thing that you can walk out to see the large falls. You can see the large falls from the Virginia side and the Maryland side. It is free camping, I believe, for 1 or 2 nights. I did camp there one night oh my gosh, it was really funny because somebody said it's just right around the corner, and we were hiking with everything with us, and it ended up really being a significant hike, and we were so happy to get there, but sleeping there was amazing because you hear the falls and it's just beautiful and it's just really relaxing. Now, if you're talking about camping with it, which we don't want to go too far off topic, but Mandy and I also talked before this about, what is it, River Outfitters in Harper's Ferry.
Yeah.
They have the most amazing campground where you are camping next to a train, in between the train and the river, and the train does get quiet at night, but you still hear it. My husband and I love it because we thought that the train was going to wake us up, but instead it was so soothing that we had the best night's sleep. Other people complain they can't stand it, they want their earbuds in, or something to, some type of protection, but you wake up and you have this gorgeous river right in front of you, and you can walk right into Harper's Ferry from there. You just follow the train path. You can go off the side, there's a trail, and then you go to Maryland Heights to go hiking. I can't remember the name of the other place to go hiking. You cross over the bridge towards the Virginia side, and they're insurmountable hiking, and you have the history with it. And I love both of those aspects of it. I did not go to the KOA because it was just me and my husband. So the campsite we went to, I believe they allow 11 tent setups. And our favorite setup, I shouldn't tell you what it is, but it's 11 because you're further away from everybody and you're closer to Harper's Ferry. So you have your own little hidden nook and this gorgeous tree that you see out over the water. Let me see, what else? Cunningham Falls. I've been out to the Frederick area quite a bit, and I just don't remember all of the names. There's
Yeah.
so many.
That's been my problem as well. The other one I was going to ask you about, have you ever been out to Jarrettsville to Rocks State Park, where the King and Queen seat is?
No, but I had a friend just post about it the other day, and she's like, it's just right around the corner. It's not far from you. And then she's like, oh, that's right, you live a little distance from me. But
yeah, it's a little less than an hour from here.
And then there's Seneca Rock, and then one of my absolute favorites, which it could be a day trip, but we really prefer to stay overnight when we go and go twice, would be Old Rag out in Virginia. And we stay in Culpeper when we go, and we really enjoy going there. It's just nice and quiet, and you could definitely bring your dog there. You got to make sure that your dog is agile though, because when you get to the top, it does get a little bit rough, and you just want to make sure that your dog doesn't slip off the edge. And there's some really steep areas, which is the very same as the Billy Goat Trail. When you take your dog, it's a little rougher. The B and C trail is great for pets. It's absolutely fine. Trying to think. I think that was kind of it for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I know we talked just a touch about Virginia since we're so close. We went at the end of last year. It was in October, towards the end of October, right when the leaves were changing. We drove down to Natural Bridge, Virginia, and we did Skyline Drive on the way. We did the middle section because it's divided into 3 different sections. We did the middle section on the way down. And then we did the bottom. When we came back, we came up, we did the bottom, came out the middle, and then went back up to the top. So we did all of Skyline Drive, and it was gorgeous because the leaves were changing. But Natural Bridge is beautiful as well. There's a ton of history there. It's a very old town. It's down by Buchanan. And that's where the Natural Bridge Arch is. And we went there, and it's not hiking really. It is in the Blue Ridge Mountains. We actually stayed at the Natural Bridge Convention Center, which is a big, huge hotel. But they also have little cottages that are a little ways kind of closer into the mountains, and we stayed in the cottages, and it was beautiful. You're right in the Blue Ridge Mountains. We hiked all through the mountains, and that was really nice. And then they have this walkable path that's where the arch starts, and then you kind of meander through, and then you go down and see a waterfall, and then you can come back. Very easy. It's all paved. Anybody can go. You can bring your dog, because we did take our dog with us. and it was awesome. We really enjoyed that, and the fact that the leaves were changing was just a bonus. I took some pictures, and I was like, the pictures just don't do it justice. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, I can't believe that we were remiss that we didn't talk about Skyline Drive before this and touch base on that, because I mean
Yeah,
that's such a significant area. And
yeah, it's
Gettysburg too. Gettysburg is huge too on the hiking. And although I will say, I remember my experience there was when my kids were little and we were homeschooling, and my one child lost a shoe in the mud and got little
oh no,
stitches all over her sock. And it was hysterical because it wasn't a dangerous hike or anything. It was a lot of fun. It just so happened that when she went to jump, her foot went in. And I've never experienced this before in my life, but she could not get her shoe back. We dug and dug and dug, and we had to go to the store and pick up a new pair of shoes.
oh
I,
my goodness.
I mean, like, she was right there, but
Hmm.
it was
I
so.
guess you get the right mix of stuff, it becomes like quicksand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was so funny though. But yeah, there are so many that I know that we're missing. We just kind of threw some out there, and we thought we wanted to get this out there for everybody because of the time that it is, and everybody being able to get out, get active, get the natural air in, and really start to, it helps the body to become a bit more positive. It helps to just settle the soul and your brain. And
yeah,
I'm
that's why it's one of my favorite activities to do. And even though things are the way that they are right now, most parks are still open. You're still able to go hiking. You're still able to do this. The pavilions, the playgrounds, the facilities are all closed, but you can still go out. And I'll tell you, we've been out on the trails a couple of times when the weather is nice on the weekends, because my husband's still working during the day. So we have to do it on the weekends. And I mean, we've encountered some people, but it's worked out really well. People are, somebody gets off the path and kind of goes off a little bit, allows the other person to go by so that there's plenty of space. And it's so far, I haven't had any issues out on the trails. People are very respectful. It's almost like you don't even have to communicate. Somebody will get off the trail, the next person goes, and then you just get right back on the trail and continue your hike.
Well,
And
you're
it's
also finding like-minded people. And so like-minded
yeah,
people are like, look, I'm coming out here just to get fresh air. And I honestly find that I haven't had an issue with that in the past.
yeah, I agree with you.
Because right,
Even
because
when
right
it's busy.
now we do need to say that it's for people that are watching this in years to come. This is COVID, and and it's
Yeah, COVID-19
social
time.
distancing is in. But I honestly feel like whenever I went hiking before, I never really had a problem with that, because people want to give you your space because they know you're in nature to get your space. And
I agree with you. I feel like you said, they're like-minded people. I like us. Yeah, this is my favorite activity to do. If I have a choice between going to do pretty much anything outside, it's either do this or go do something on the water. And I mean, it's just it's so easy and so accessible, and the fact that you can do so much in your own state. I think we take for granted where we are in Maryland, and the fact that, we have so much accessibility. We have all the rivers and the bay and the ocean, and
well,
we
the
also
Appalachian
have
Trail. I mean,
hiking and all these natural trails. So, I mean, we really should be taking advantage of it. Get outside as much as possible, get as much fresh air as you can, get as much vitamin D as you can. It really does help you mind, body, and soul. And that's why I think Michelle and I love it so much.
yeah. Yeah, and I realize that I addressed Maryland Heights, but not the Appalachian Trail itself. But I mean, there's so many. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
we could talk all day about this. I
I
feel like
know. We're
we might
gonna.
have to do a second, we might have to do a second podcast on this. I think maybe
Well,
we should
we
come
should
up with,
check out some of these places
yeah.
and then come
Yeah,
back and do a report, because there's so many that we haven't gotten to. And then we can find out, like, what's actually a day hike and what's an overnight. And
yeah, you're right there for
we can
sure.
still go to Harper's Ferry in a day from where we live,
Yeah,
but we prefer to stay over. I mean, there's a place that we stay there. We do the camping there, and I don't know. It depends on how long we're staying for the camping, because camping to me, anything less than 2 nights is just a waste of setting up.
I agree with you. I agree. All the setup and all the effort that you put into it, you have to go for at least 3 nights or more to make it worthwhile.
Yeah,
I
but,
completely
but I mean, the kids on it, my kids and I, when we were homeschooling, we would go. We wouldn't think anything of going to Gettysburg for the day, or going to. And so we
Yep.
live in the Indianapolis area, and so we didn't think anything of going to Gettysburg for a day, or going to, um, Harper's Ferry, and we still always go to Great Falls for the day. And we can even get Great Falls done in a half a day. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say the first time that you can, because what I have found whenever I take people to a new trail is that it always add an extra, half hour or so, because they're going to be a little slower that first time. So if
Yep.
it tells you can do it in a certain amount of time, give yourself an extra half an hour, just in case, because you never know what you're going to encounter. But thank you for being here today. Thank you so much, Mandy. I always love talking trails with you. We could
Yeah. I love it too.
we're
You
gonna
can
end up having
absolutely.
a weekend of doing trails.
Yeah, we absolutely will. We'll have to go on an adventure together for sure. And for anybody watching this, if you know of any trails that you don't want to keep as a hidden secret in Maryland that we didn't touch on today, please post them in the comments. We want to know where you're going and what you love about it, especially if it's, family friendly, if it's dog friendly, or if it's even more challenging and you just want to go there as an adult. That's okay too, because we want to be able to, once we're able to actually get out and do things more often, we want to be able to hit as many trails as possible and be able to take in everything that Maryland has to offer. Because I'm like that. I always have to take extra time because I'm always taking videos and pictures and everything. I'm that
Yeah.
person that's always got the camera out.
I never post them, but I take tons of videos and photos.
Yeah.
I always say, oh, I'm going to post this someday. And you know what Mandy said, we did have a discussion about, oh, do we want to mention that? Because then if we mention
Yeah.
it, everybody's going to go there. So we get it. If you want to keep some a secret, somebody's probably going to blurt out your secret. We're sorry. But it's definitely just so nice to get back to nature. And so thank you so much for joining us for the Mind, Body, and Business Collective. If you'd like to subscribe, there should be a link at the end of this. Mandy and I are going to put our information down at the bottom if you want to get in touch with us for anything. I actually was remiss to say that I'm a massage therapist and a cranial sacral worker. Mandy does fabulous work writing. So if you do blogs or pamphlets or anything, she's really great. And we
Thank
will
you.
see you at the next podcast. You guys have a great day and get outside.
That's right. Take care. Get some vitamin D.